Hi everyone, it's Silvana Kozak here and I'm with Anthony Trax, who is a former NFL player and gym owner, consultant and speaker and coach. And today I would like to introduce you to Anthony, who is a person who created a business and career with purpose. So he's going to share with you some parts of his story and some tips of how to find the purpose and what was this journey and what it is this journey for him.
Yeah, by all means. Hey, how are you doing? So we'll hop right into it. You know, just go
I'm doing great and I'm really excited. Thank you so much for giving your time for that interview because I think your journey is absolutely amazing and many people can learn from it.
I hope so. I share it in that singular hope that people grab something. And I never know what people are going to grab from the story. I know that I just tell it and some people come back and say, I learned this about my life or my relationship or parenting. It's interesting. So I think it's cool because you can listen to the same thing and have so many different perspectives. So my story personally, like I pretty much became an entrepreneur at 3 years old and it sounds really odd, but I more an emotional standpoint, right? Like the first feeling that you have as an entrepreneur is had this feeling of kind of like fear of the unknown, not knowing if you have the right tools to succeed at the next stage of life, having no idea what tomorrow brings, and you feel like pretty much on an island. And my first memory of life was my biological mom giving me away to foster care. I remember the moment that she handed my hand to a strange woman and she walked me to this car and then to be buckled in and hear my siblings crying and have this just onslaught of emotions of having the exact same feelings of fear of what tomorrow brings, not knowing if I'm prepared and just pretty much feel like I'm on an island and unworthy, And so that's the first feeling I grew up with, which is kind of, I felt it again when I got into the space of doing my own thing and transitioning to be a full-fledged entrepreneur and surviving off of literally just my own income, not like I have a job and I'm trying something, it's all me. That's what I do now. And so I guess, from there, I got bounced around from foster home to foster home for about 3 years. I got put in foster care at 3. At 6 years old, I had gone through a lot of like torture, starvation, and beatings, and a lot of weird stuff. And I was a really shut down kid. Like I was unhappy. I was mad at the world. It was crazy. But I ended up at my home, which is my family now. And, my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sisters now. For 8 years, I was in this house. And what's crazy is in this home, this foster home, I'm not adopted yet. So my biological mom has what's called parental rights. So she can like make my life a living hell from a distance. And she pretty much did. And so for 8 years, I dealt with this, a lot of lies and just a lot of like mental stuff. Like she did a lot of emotional damage to me. So by the time I got to 14, I had enough. And I stood in front of a judge and I pretty much said, I no longer want you to be my mom anymore. And I severed the parental rights. I was finally able to be adopted. What's crazy is I didn't have any clue of where I'd for sure lay my head down every night until I was adopted at 14. So it's just always a weird fear of as life got better that it's for some reason, it would be scared to have it taken away. Because in this family I was with, we weren't like rich. Like we were poor. Like it was all white family, which is a unique difference for me from diversity issues. And then, we had like rats in the pantry. You had mice all over the place. You had a whole bunch of cockroaches. Like we were not living large. And at 14, I get to this point, I make this shift and I get to do something that I want to do for a lot of years, which is play football. I love the game of football, but I could never actually play with my teammates or my I guess peers at school. I have to hear about their games when they come back on Monday from the weekend, knowing I couldn't play. And then it led me to where I finally got to play. Had 2 years of success. I was doing well. I loved the game, but I sucked at it. So when I say success, like I could play. And
do you remember? Sorry for stopping you here, but do you remember this moment when you couldn't play and then you finally start playing? Like what happened in your mind? What shift happened?
It was elation. It was like this feeling of worthiness for the first time. For football, and it was just like this game that most people are like, it's just a game. But for me, it was like someone cheered for me. I'm in a tap art kind of football. They're like, yeah. I'm like, what? You guys actually like me? Because for the years leading up to that, the world had always showed me they didn't like me, didn't care about me. Whether my mom giving me away or the rest of the world condemning me for being a foster kid. And it was tough. And the crazy part is we get to this point as entrepreneurs, we have the success in something. We have a dream, right, for a goal.
Yeah.
But it gets hard. And when it gets hard, we start contemplating, is this for me?
Yes.
I just want to get a job and then not have to worry about this. Do I want to get up on this dream? And we literally have this conversation of, do we want the pain of grinding for success or the pain of regret? right? And it's like, which one? Literally, people will balance which one, and they'll go whichever they choose. And this came to a head for me when I was at 15 years old, sitting in a classroom in my English class, and I had played 2 years of football and sucked. And I was like, you know what? I'm not having success. I'm going to chalk this up. The exact same way people do in their businesses. Or the desire to transition from their 9 to 5 to an entrepreneurial space. Like, it's just too hard, right? So my adoptive mom, who is, like a rock in the family, got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. My older brother went off to the military. So I'm pretty much sitting high and dry, and I'm chalking it all up. Like, I'm literally sleeping in class, every class. And grades are tanking. And then I remember I'm sitting in this English class, Mr. Howell's English class, back right corner of the classroom at a desk. And next to the desk is this pretty much a couch, love seat. And 2 girls are talking to each other. And I'm under this black parka, like half asleep, just kind of sleeping. And this girl says to another girl, well, the reason I'm so bad is because I'm in foster care. And it was this really confusing statement. Not that it was confusing what she said, but it confused me. I'm like, is that me? Like, I really was like, is that how I'm? Because I was pretty much chalking it up. And I think in my head, I'd been like, well, I'm going to be bad and let life go by. Because, I was in foster care, and this is what took place. And then I remember it just made me angry inside. That was me. So I went home, and I had this really long stare at a wall in my bedroom. I just stared at a wall, really. And in my head, the conversation was, Aunt, man, that can't be you. Better than that, you got to do greater. And this is where I did this thing that really just shifted my internals of how I operate. This is what I teach people now.
Yeah.
Is you're going to get to a point where you don't think you're going to have success. You just don't believe you can, right?
Yeah.
And what happens is it's just like, well, I don't have confidence to go, so I'm just not going to go, but I'm going to hope at some point I get confidence, which is just a weird oxymoron. The way that you have to work is you have to work as hard as you can without having any assurance it'll be right or you'll be successful. And so what I did is, for me, I said, I got to be great. I didn't know what to be great at the time was football. So I pretty much went to work like crazy and came back the next year a monster, faster, stronger. And it led to being able to go up and play a higher level in high school as varsity player as a sophomore. Got a college scholarship to go play at the University of Oregon for 4 years, played in the NFL for 3, came home, opened a gym, became a consultant after that when I transitioned to that, became a speaker.
So you went just like boom.
Yeah, it took off from 15 up. And again, ups and downs. Don't get me wrong, I had a lot of downs. But every time I got to a down, I referred back to what I learned when I was a kid.
So I want to, we're going to come back to like after the 15th and when you, experience your momentum, but I want to take a few steps back.
Yeah.
Because this important moment of really facing the
big challenge.
Internal, how you call it, sorry?
This is a big challenge.
Big challenge, but also this sort of like internal bottom when you like were in your room and you said you stared at wall. So what was happening in your mind? Were you actually having a conversation with yourself? Were you trying to communicate with that wall? What was happening there? Because it seems like that was the moment when, you really, was it like you were in that pain or you were trying to reject that pain?
Well, the way that I look at it is this, and this was really the conversation I've had with myself many, many times, is we all want some form of success. For me, I wanted to be good at football. I wanted to be happier in life. And at the end of the day, you have to determine whether or not you're going to work. And this is the scary part, is we don't know. Like, there's an unknown. We don't know what's in that unknown.
Yeah.
So because of that, what we do is we choose to say, okay, well, it's going to be too hard. I don't know for sure I'm going to have success, so I'm just not going to work that hard. Crazy part is I can guarantee if you don't work, you're not going to succeed. No one's going to trip and stumble into $1 million or a great relationship or 100, amazing, sexy body, right? It doesn't happen. Yeah. You have to work. But what makes us not work is the fear of, if I'm going to put all this work in, what if I don't succeed? What if it all fails, And so what happens is we just won't move. We don't have this faith in ourselves. We don't have a knowing that we're going to accomplish something. So what happened at that moment was I realized, okay, well, I can sit here and feel this way, or I'm fed up with this moment. I'm fed up with this feeling. And the only way to get out of it is to work, having no clue whether I'll be successful or not. Just don't, right? Because I can't plan life. There's no way to know. Life's what happens between your plans. And what I did is I went to work. That was just a decision. I can work or not work. That's the only decision you have. You don't have a whole bunch. You just work or you don't work, right? And the crazy part is when you choose to actually work 100%, like really give it your all, things open up. It's the people who get to this point of saying, well, I tried everything. I worked as hard as I can. It's just not for me. What ends up happening is that literally is you addressing your edge of your comfort zone.
Yes.
It's not that you're not really capable. It's that when you got to that point, you accepted that that was all you could do. And so you stepped away. And so your good excuse is, well, I don't have it in me. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Well, that's not the case. Really what it is you got lazy. You didn't choose to work harder, or you got to the point where you started listening to your excuses. So at my moment in that time, I was like, I'm done with the excuses. I'm done with having these other things go on. And those are the reason I'm making it a good excuse as to why I'm not going to be successful in life.